Yeah, I don't want to be here either, and yet somehow I always end up in this goddamn chair. Hello, and freaking welcome back or whatever. I guess I'm reading a
gosh dang
fanfiction again today. It's a Bakudeku one because what else do I get called here for? Nothing. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up. If you don't, still give it a thumbs up. If you like my nail polish, give it a thumbs up. And if you don't, then frick you.
Katchan, can
Stop. If my hair looks a mess today, I was in bed all day, so go to hell. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and if you don't, today we're going to be reading a Bakudeku fanfiction called Everything Has Changed. I believe it's a coming-of-age story. It's also about them staying together for a week. Us staying together for a week. There's something called mutual pining, which I totally don't know what that is because I don't read fanfiction, or what I keep fucking telling people. I know exactly what that means. Anyways, let's just read it. It's called Everything Has Changed. The first chapter is called Kill the Director. I've been dealing with this shit since I was 3. Katsuki groaned as he shoved his hands into the pockets of his sweatpants. He turned to look at the redhead standing beside him. Elevator bells ring in the background. Kirishima knew he was about to cross a line, break an unspoken rule, grab a bull by the horns and try to reason with it, but he knew he had to, for the sake of his best friend's future love life. What love life? He took a deep breath, placing a hand on Bakugou's shoulder, and asked, "Hey Bakubro, why do you hate Midoriya so much?" Katsuki huffed. His brain began to scramble. Thousands of memories flashed in his mind, Izuku at the center of all of them. He sucked his teeth and rolled his eyes. It was a simple question, with an even simpler answer. Where do I even begin? He's a He stopped himself. He couldn't say that anymore. Not after all the times Deku had proven himself. He saved a solid handful of people, defeated numerous villains, and they'd only started their second year at UA. He's a loser. An annoying little pest. He's always so goddamn nervous. I swear, his sweat glands never get a break. I hate his annoyingly contagious smile and how everyone always tries to touch him. I hate the way his lounge shirts are so tight you can see the dips of his muscles. Oh my god, I freaking hate his face that I'm always drawn to. Oh my god, I freaking hate him. Looking at him makes my stomach feel weird. It makes me sick. I think about him all the damn time. He even winds up in my dreams. I loathe him. I can't get a moment of peace. He's yelling by the end of it. So caught up in his own frustration toward Izuku, he forgets how echoey it is in here. His head knocks back against the elevator wall. He stares up at the emergency exit on the ceiling and waits for Ijiro's response. I don't know, man. That doesn't really sound like hate to me. Bakugou snaps his head to Kirishima, beating his red eyes. Well, what could it possibly be? His voice is filled with rage. His mind still clouded with thoughts of Deku's smiling face. His palms begin to sweat. He wants to punch Kiri, knock him out, and pretend this conversation never happened. He couldn't. He could, but he won't. Kirishima's lips press into a thin line. He takes a deep breath and slowly shrugs. He keeps his eyes locked with Katsuki's. The elevator bell rings. The blonde turns his attention to the opening doors. Izuku stands on the other side, laughing alongside Ida and Todoroki. A bath towel hangs around his shoulders. Dripping wet hair makes his white t-shirt a tiny bit more transparent. Fucking idiot. Green clash with red. Katsuki's mind is suddenly quiet. They stare at each other for a while, long enough that Kirishima has to push the door open button so the elevator won't move. Izuku is the one to break the silence. Hello. Sounds just like him. I can hear his annoying tone. Hello. The boy's lips turn up into a smile, and his eyes glisten with joy. Oh my
frick,
Katsuki whispers under his breath. His chest feels tight. His stomach is bouncing off the walls of his insides. Wow. Greetings have got really strange around here. Oh, that sounds just like Todoroki. Todoroki says to Ida, who is currently gaping at Bakugou's use of profanity. He reverts back to angry words. He doesn't know what else to do. Out of my way. He gently pushes past Deku, brushing their forearms together on purpose just to feel the warmth of the younger boy's skin. Kirishima follows, apologizing to the trio on the blonde's behalf. As soon as he catches up with Bakugou, he pats him on the back. His tone returned to normal, much different than the seriousness of the elevator. Did you finally figure it out, Bakubro? They push open the large glass doors and step into the early spring air. The sun is setting over the horizon as they head towards their favorite ramen spot, where the remainder of their friend group patiently awaits their arrival. The blonde clenches his stomach and answers in a low voice. I think I'm gonna be sick. Kiri throws an arm around his shoulders. Welcome to being in love. I'm in love? Gross. Let's read chapter 2 then as well, since we're already freaking here, I guess. I guess it's kind of good. I mean, they portrayed me pretty
frickin'
well. Dick face. Chapter 2 is called Water Glass. Katsuki let out a frustrated sigh, lifting his head off the pillow to look at the clock that occupies the small space on the ledge above his bed. It was 10:15 p.m.
Why aren't you asleep?
And he hadn't gotten a wink of sleep. He kept imagining Deku laying beside him. So I could punch him in the face.
I don't know how much longer I can keep this up, dude. I'm so in love and it hurts.
Fiery red eyes getting lost in sparkly green ones. Tan fingers drawing circles into scarred arms. The mop of green curls fanned out on his burgundy bedsheets. Burgundy bedsheets. Yes. The sweet scent of green apple shampoo staining his clothes, his skin, his room. He violently kicked off the covers, splitting the comforter from the sheets that were so nicely folded together, warming the lower half of his body. He jumped up and dug his feet into black slippers. He stomped to the door, grabbing his phone off the desk in the process and shoving it into his pocket. He decided to take the stairs, seeing as that was a quieter route. The loud elevator dings would surely wake his classmates. He navigates through the darkness of the lounge, bumping into a couch or two on the way, cursing under his breath. He turns the corner, steps into the threshold of the kitchen and flicks on the light switch to his left. What he sees is not what he expected. Izuku sits atop the granite counter. A white t-shirt and gray sweatpants, a can of Ready Whip in one hand and a strawberry in another. He's frozen, staring nervously at the boy before him. "Hey, Kachan." His voice shakes. Katsuki can't help but snicker. What a sight to see. One of the top students in their class. The boy who acts proper, is so hellbent on respectful mannerisms, has his ass on the counter where they eat, spraying whipped cream into his mouth. "Kachan, don't laugh." He pouts, ripping the strawberry from the stem with his teeth. Katsuki grips the door frame for support, clenching his stomach while laughing up a storm. "Whew! I haven't laughed like that in years." He wipes a tear from his eyes as he opens the white fridge to the right and begins to shuffle through it. A hush falls over the two. Katsuki pulls out an empty carton of milk from its confinement, placing it on the counter. Izuku grabs a glass from the cupboard behind him and extends his arm to Katsuki. The blonde's orbs narrow on the cup. He didn't need one. He planned on drinking straight from the carton, but he can't say no to Deku. Not if he wants to get to know him better. He has to show him he's able to accept kind gestures without bitching about it. So he takes the first step in the right direction and wraps his hand around the cup, accidentally sliding his fingers between Midoriya's. They both gasp, make eye contact, and a second later, Izuku reflexively jerks his hand away. Katsuki places the cup next to him. He takes the carton of milk into his hands, vigorously shakes it, and unscrews the blue top, tossing it into the trash can beneath the light switch. "Cheers." He smiles at Izuku while bringing the drink to his lips. "Wait!" Izuku exclaims. "You're gonna drink it straight out of the cart like an animal?" Katsuki lowered his arm and feared his brows. "You're one to talk," gesturing at the can in his hand. Izuku chuckles. Fair enough. He pauses before looking to Katsuki and raising the canister slightly. "Cheers." They both knock back a mouthful in an instant, letting out a refreshed ah simultaneously. "What the hell are you doing up anyway, nerd?" "I could ask you the same." "Well, I asked you first." "I asked you second." "Rock, paper, scissors?" Katsuki offers. Izuku complies, but ends up losing. "Spell." Katsuki insists, a smirk playing onto his lips. "Couldn't sleep, I guess," he answered with a shrug. "I swear I can imitate Deku perfectly. Maybe it's the years of stalking, watching, pining, hating him." He was lying. Bakugo was well aware. He studied Izuku's behavior for years, and he has it memorized like the alphabet. He knows the way he looks when he's being dishonest. His green eyes will shift to the left, his teeth will clamp on the inside of his lower lip, and he'll start to wiggle his toes. "You're lying." The pale boy gulps. "It's the nightmares, isn't it?" Katsuki says in a whisper. Izuku keeps his face turned away from him, eyes locking on the electric stove. "How did you even know that?" He huffs out, his tone guarded, like he's afraid Katsuki is going to torment him like his unruly subconscious. "You've had them since we were kids, fuckstick. How could I forget?" Picking up the unused glass, he stalks over to the faucet next to Izuku. He fills it with water and takes a swig. He bent over the counter, letting his body weight be supported by his forearms resting on the edge of the sink. He caught a glimpse of his reflection in the window above the valve, his hair in disarray, purple bags forming on his blemishless skin. He wanted to go to bed. He could feel drowsiness finally creeping into his body. But he couldn't leave Midoriya like this. "What was it about?" Bakugo asked, gazing out the window at the rain that was starting to fall. Midoriya shifted, discomfort radiating off of him. He cleared his throat, gripping the fabric of his sweat. Kamina ward again. He let his head fall against the cabinet behind him. It's been a year since that incident, but it was still a touchy subject for Bakugo. He hadn't fully processed the guilt he feels for ending All Might. He's not sure he ever will. He wasn't the only one with PTSD, though. The entire class had been through their fair share of near-death experiences and troubling times, especially Izuku. So, he swallows the lump in his throat and presses on. What the hell happened? Was all he could muster up. He came off sounding more irritated than he would have liked, but baby steps, right? It was, I mean, I appreciated Kachan, but I'd really rather not talk about it. Izuku stammers, rubbing the nape of his neck nervously. Whatever, nerd. Katsuki places his dish in the washer, closing it softly, and heads for the door. You know, he rolled around to face Deku. If you ever need to talk, or something mushy like that, I wouldn't be totally opposed to it. I'd do my best to fuck! He couldn't seem to get the word out, face heating up at the rawness of the moment. Thanks, Kachan. Izuku smiles, his eyes softening at the act of kindness Katsuki tried so desperately to execute. The blonde grunts in approval, and he puts his back to Midoriya, weight shifting forward to make way to bed. He looked over his shoulder, catching the other boy staring at him. Good night, Izuku, he says in an alluring tone. Deku sucked in a breath. Bakugou said his name, his real name, for the first time since they were 3-foot-tall, uncultivated hooligans. Midoriya's jaw dropped, shock taking over his body, making it nearly impossible to form a coherent sentence. When he finally gets a grip, Katsuki has already vanished into the blackness of the dormitory. Glad that's over. What a wow. Anyways, it sounds like it's gonna be a lot of pining. A lot of it. And, you know, so whatever, I guess. It's gonna be fine. If you like this video and you like the story, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let us know if you want to see more. I will come back and read more, or we can have Deku come and read more, because I want to fucking take a nap. I'm so tired of this shit. Anyways, I'm gonna go finish the story. I mean, go take a nap. I'm gonna go take a nap. Or whatever. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to stay safe, do your homework, and drink water, like Nikki always says, and I love you. Bye.